We want to follow after you, seek after you, and be transformed by you. And that's my prayer as we go into the service. That's my prayer for this mini-series, that you would be glorified, God, and that we would come out better for all of it. In Jesus' name. So our theme is This Is Me. Show of hands if you have seen... Oh, I didn't have to finish it. Wonderful. If you have seen it 3 times, raise your hand. There we go. If you own any song from the soundtrack. There we go. The real fans emerge. If you've watched the YouTube clips. Okay. If you want to go home and watch the movie now, because I'm going to win y'all over. This whole section of y'all. It's coming. If I have to force you to my house for a movie night, it's happening.
I'm coming.
I have to ask Josh first. Yes.
I just popped through the window like, whoop.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying. So this is me. For those of you who haven't, I'm stepping back because the lights are like really bright. For those of you who haven't seen, I feel weird saying movie from a pulpit. I don't know why. If you haven't seen the film, it's amazing. It's a musical, which, to be really honest, I'm a choir nerd, so like musicals, and I'm like, oh hey, I love it. High School Musical, like that was my jam back then. See, there we go. Music nerds unite. So I mean, musicals are kind of my thing. So of course, I was really into Phantom of the Opera. Goodness. I'm gonna find one. Camels? Anybody? Okay, there we go. Got one source of recognition. Okay. So, it's a musical starring everybody great that ever lived. Zac Efron's in there.
Yeah!
There we go. Zendaya.
Yeah!
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah!
Did I mention Zac Efron?
Yeah!
Somebody felt the spirit. Okay, This Is Me is one of the songs from the movie, and it's incredible, it's amazing. Actually, it's sung by the bearded lady, which if you watch the clip at the beginning. Now, I turned to Jordan during it, I said, okay, if I had a beard, I'd want that lady's beard. Seriously, I know that's a weird thing to say, but if you're gonna have to be a bearded lady, wouldn't you want it to be like a good beard? I don't know. She's got a good beard for a bearded lady. I appreciate it. So, This Is Me is probably about halfway through the movie. And Homegirl, of course, is like, I mean, she's a bearded lady, so life hasn't been the easiest. And so she's singing her heart out, like, hey, this is who I am, suckers, take it. I'm not gonna change. I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, and the world's gonna have to be okay with it, because this is who I was created to be. But that's much easier sung than done, for real. And so I want to talk to us a little bit about, first of all, the story of P.T. Barnum, for those of you who haven't watched the movie, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into why this song is so important and what it can do for our walk with God. So the story of The Greatest Showman is loosely based on the life of P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum, he's not the little bitty guy, which, by the way, the little guy on yonder side, that's Tom Thumb. That's actually that was his real name, Tom Thumb. Adorable. Adorable. In this picture, Tom Thumb was actually only 6 years old, which is so cute. I just want to put him in my pocket. P.T. Barnum grew up really not on the right side of the tracks. If you are familiar with the film, his dad in the movie was a tailor. They just didn't really have it good. And that was real life. They didn't really have it good. At that time, the socioeconomic climate wasn't so bueno either. And you really saw that there was a good amount of suffering. I'm not going to sing all of the songs from the movie, but A Million Dreams. Anybody? Okay, A Million Dreams? Y'all, I'm going to have to get you the movie. He wanted a better life. He didn't want to suffer. He had all these plans and these dreams that were just so big, and everyone thought he was crazy because he dreamed so big it didn't make sense, and it definitely didn't fit the climate of where he lived. How many times have you ever felt like you had a dream that maybe others didn't get, or you had a crazy idea that you're like, hey, what if we do this? And everybody's like, oh, that's sweet. Yeah, we could. You feel a little bit shot down? That was P.T. Barnum's life. So in 1871, he created what would become Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, which this only shut down last year. How many of you ever went to Ringling Brothers or Barnum and Bailey Circus? Okay, they were huge, y'all. That was a big thing. Is it only the old ones? Sorry, Rachel, you're not old. Green might be old, I don't know. It was a thing. Like, the circus was so big. We'd all go, and like, it wasn't just like this little bitty thing in a field. They would like pack out stadiums, and it was amazing and incredible. And they just closed it down as of last year. But the movie was loosely based on P.T. Barnum's life because there's some elements of it that like weren't exactly accurate. I mean, he did get pretty lucky with some of the oddities, which we'll get a couple in a minute. But he got pretty lucky with some of the people that he discovered that he made famous. But in real life, he did marry a woman named Charity. He did have a museum of oddities, which later evolved into a traveling circus. And Jenny Lind, okay, thank you. He did bring her like over to America and introduce her to America. So those are the real elements. The others are just a lot of Hollywood magic, but I ain't mad about it because it's a really good movie. So at some point after his career in the circus, he became a politician. Okay, and the platform that he took was promoting, hey, we're all God's children. But let me show you some of the people that he made famous first. Hit it, Rachel. Okay, bearded lady. Y'all, for real. Like, that was her real beard. And I thought, that's a guy. It's not a guy. There are like so many pictures of this poor, sweet lady. There's actually many medical conditions that she could have had that would have contributed to her actually having a legit beard. The extra 2 little legs, I'm a little creeped out, and I don't think that's real, but whatever, it made them lots of money. So those were those two. See what else we got. This was the Fiji mermaid, and I don't really know what to think about it. I don't really know. But the Fiji mermaid was actually sold to this really bougie art collector in Japan, and you can like go to his house and see it for like $1,500 a ticket. It's pretty ridiculous. Anyways, that's the Fiji mermaid. And he looks like a little koala, doesn't he? What's this little fuzzy part? He does. Okay. But that was real. Actually, there was a whole family. This guy was from Burma. And so the rumor that he used when he was selling the tickets was that, yeah, when this guy was like in his mother's womb, his mother was attacked by a lion. And he came out looking like a lion. I don't know. It was a stretch, but he made a lot of money off of it. So after he had this really great, I mean, if you were doing that kind of stuff, it's not like today where it's like, okay, that's obviously photoshopped. You can't like Photoshop a beard on somebody when they're 3 feet from you. So he found a way to capitalize on, honestly, a lot of people with health conditions. There were a lot of other cases of people that were temporarily with him. One guy had the disease that makes you grow really, really tall, really, really fast, and weakens your heart. I can't think of what it's called. Abraham Lincoln had it. Autrey the Giant had it. A couple of like other famous figures have had it. But he used this poor guy's heart condition to sell tickets, and it worked great for a long time until the guy died. But he capitalized on weaknesses, and he made people feel special. And one of the big lines from the movie, see how many of you are real fans, he says, they don't know it yet, but they are going to, what? They're going to love you. That's what he said. He tells the bearded lady, they don't know it yet, but they're going to love you. And that was his whole premise. He made people feel special. People that normally felt a little bit out of place, a little bit weird about who they were. He gave them a voice. He transformed their awkwardness that normally would have had them hiding and helped them find a way to embrace it and really harness it. traveled the world, made all his money. He became a politician, of course, because doesn't everybody? And one of his famous lines from his speeches during his campaign was, "A human soul that God created and Christ died for is not to be trifled with. It may tenant the body of a Chinaman, a Turk, or an Arab, but it's still an immortal spirit." And if you are aware of what was happening in the political climate at the time, there was a lot of racial tension, a lot of issues with immigrants, and people were really kind of plagued with. And it made them acceptable. It made them beautiful. It helped them harness them. In fact, it gets to the place where in the movie, if you remember the "This Is Me" scene, it's right after there was that big fight in the alley and everybody was going crazy, and they stormed back in and they were like, "You know what? We're not going to cow down. This is who we are. We can't change it. We can't hide it." And they want to shut us down. Another round of bullets with my skin. This isn't the first time this has happened, but I'm here and I'm not going to hide anymore. So many times I think that we're really good at building up others. In fact, that's a key cornerstone of a lot of what we do. We bring our friends in if we know somebody that's suffering or that maybe they're feeling down on themselves, or if you're struggling with depression, we're really quick to huddle around you and to help you and to build you up and to disciple you. But when it comes to ourselves, it's a completely different story, and we're terrible. I can help you, but I'm not so good at helping myself. We fail ourselves miserably when it comes to loving ourselves, developing ourselves, encouraging ourselves, growing ourselves. We're terrible at it. And I think before we can fully understand how to love and develop the gifts that God has put in us, we have to break that down two ways first. Number one, who do I think I am? And number two, who does God say I am? So for this first part, who do I think I am? There's an ancient Indian story about these, I believe it's 6 blind men that were led to this elephant. Okay? This elephant was tied up. How many of you have ever heard this story before? Aha. So they were led to this elephant, and they said, "Okay, Philip." They didn't tell him what it was. They said, "Fill up this thing. Tell me what you think this is." So one of the blind men was standing down by the tail, and he fills in the tail, and he said, "Well, it's kind of rough, it's kind of thin. I think that this is a rope. I think that this is a rope." A few minutes later, on the other end, one of the men was standing next to the leg. And he put his arms around it, and he said, This is cold, and it's really solid. I believe that I'm standing next to a pillar." And another person was touching the trunk and said, "Oh, this has to be, something else." And they went on, and this went on for several minutes. And finally, a person that had their sight walked up and said, "It's an elephant. It's not a rope. It's not a pillar. It's an elephant." I think so many times we've heard this story for the one of us that has. This story is actually used in psychology. It's actually used in Buddhism and a lot of other religions to kind of make us think and explain away that there are many paths to get to God. But instead of that being the concept, which clearly we're not going to take, I want to use that to illustrate how I feel it applies to us and the mistake of misunderstanding our identity. We make the mistake of finding our identity in parts of who we are. Not the whole picture, but just in little pieces. Like, how many of you play sports? Aha! Okay. I was an athlete in high school. I don't look like it now, but I was. I was in choir. I see choir shirt there. What else? A guy might find their identity in the fact that they're a great quarterback, or they think they're a great quarterback. I found my identity in the fact that I was section leader, Soprano 1 section leader for 4 years. Whew, there we go. I found my identity in that. Some of you
thing that you cling to most about yourself? I am Lindsey Autrey. I'm 28 years old. That hurts. I'm naturally curly hair. I have hazel eyes. I'm right-handed. Thank you very much, my son. I'm an aunt now. Hi, sweet baby.
So braggy.
I'm excited. I'm a friend. I'm a coworker. I'm a daughter. I play piano a little bit. I sing sometimes.
You're right.
My mom calls me Linz. My students call me Miss. Only Miss. My sister calls me Diddy. One of my best friends calls me Lou. Josh normally says, "Hey dude." Clay calls me Seaster with like 5 E's. I've often been told I'm way too emotional. I'm way too dramatic. I've been told I'm too short, too big, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too much, I'm not ever enough. I'm all of these things. Is there anything wrong with recognizing that these things are elements of who I am? No, there's nothing wrong with that. But what would be really sad is if I only define myself by one or two of those things. So Ida is going to come help me. I need recipients. So I've asked Ivan to be really transparent, really real, and I don't know what he's going to say or do, and I'm a little bit scared about it, just a little bit though. And I asked him to take 10 sticky notes and write things that he feels that describe who he is. Can be positive, can be negative, can be brag, whatever. But life has a way of changing you and reshaping you. And so I want to be real about who I am, where I've come from, and I appreciate Ivan being so transparent. Because it's so easy to believe the things that we put on ourselves. Whether it's I'm an anxious person, or I always say I'm so stressed out, and that's ridiculous because I'm just putting more stress on myself by even saying it. But we do that. And I think that we carry around the weight of these. Some of them are ridiculous, and some of them are good things. They're not all bad. But we carry around these labels that we put on ourselves, because if I were to ask you to take all of this down one, which would you do? Honestly. That's real. Isn't that crazy? Because here we have a guy who clearly makes all of us smile, who's ridiculous. Oh no, that's my plan. I want you to cry. But I'm serious. And I feel like that's where we are. And if any of us had stood in Ivan's spot tonight, think of all the things that you think of yourself. The good, bad, ugly, in between, indifferent. What is the one thing that sticks in your mind about yourself? Mine's not a positive thing. Anybody else in that boat? You think you would focus on the negative? Yeah, we do that. And when we do that, we lose our identity. I like to consider it identity theft. Our godly identity is being taken from us. And so I want each of you to come up and we're going to exchange some of our own identity, concerns, issues for what God has to say about us. It's not a bad thing to recognize your gifts and your talents. And actually, as we go throughout this month, we're going to talk about, now that you know who you are, what do you do about it? So it's okay to recognize, yeah, I can sing. Like Ivan had that on one of his stickers, I can sing. But there's more to us than even just one of our talents. So is there anything wrong with recognizing those things about ourselves? Absolutely not. God made you on purpose, just like you are, with all your talents and all of your hang-ups. So acknowledge them, but don't let your identity be tied to that one thing. Like, I was an athlete in high school. I wasn't the best, but I won a couple tournaments. I did pretty good. I don't play anymore. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing for me. But what do I have left to show for it? Elvis was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay? But look up young Elvis versus dead on a toilet Elvis. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You change. You can't cling to your good looks forever. So just because it's a positive, just don't define yourself solely by that. Because God says you're more than just a pretty face. You're more than just a great voice. There's so much more to you than just this one piece. It's like I was talking about with the elephant. He went up and held the tail and thought it was a rope. Okay? The blind man thought that it was a rope. He couldn't see the whole picture. And so many times I think that's how we are. We see one piece of who we are and we think, I am a rope. And God is saying, no, Lindsey, you're an elephant. Be aware of your true identity in God. I'm going to read a couple of scriptures and then we're going to kind of bring things to a close. So who does God say I am? We just went over 10 verses. I'm going to go through a couple more with you. 1 Peter 2, 9 and 10, for you are a chosen people. You are royal priests, a holy nation. The word holy means set apart for a purpose. You know, there's the verse that says, lift up holy hands. It's saying your hands were set apart for a purpose, which in this case was worship. You are a holy nation. You are set apart, God's very own possession. As a result, you can show others the goodness of God, for he called you out of darkness and into his wonderful light. Once you had no identity, and now you're God's people. Going on. In all of his amazing power and wisdom, God looked at you and said, you are somebody that is special to me. You are somebody that I want to get to know. But even more than that, God is saying to you, I want you to know yourself better. I want you to have a better understanding of why I made you the way that I made you. I chose you on purpose, and I need you to know why. The word royalty, you're talking about royal priest, it means that you are an adopted child of the creator of the universe. He loves you not as a friend or as a follower on Facebook, but as a son and a daughter. You are a priest. Priest carries so much weight and so many complex meanings. It means you have the ability to help lead others to that same incredible love that God has for you. You are part of a chosen people. And I don't just mean 220. I'm talking about far bigger than just us, our little corner of the world. Out of all the people that God could have picked for his kingdom, out of all the churches, in all the states, in all the countries, on all the continents, on this world, and any other universe there is out there, he said, I need you to do this for me. He set you apart on purpose. You have the ability to change the world through his love and grace in a way that I never could. All throughout my teen years, my dad used to, I'd be like going to school in the morning, or I'd be going to maybe a party I shouldn't have been going to, or going out on a date, and as I was walking out the door, my dad would always say these words, remember who you are. Remember who you are. I was 16 years old. How many of you are 16 or younger than 16? 16 and younger. My dad was saying, remember who you are, and I was saying, I don't even know who I am. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm 28 and I still don't think I know who I want to be when I grow up. I was 16, I was trying to figure myself out, and you're telling me to remember? Like I'm already supposed to know? I wish that I could go back in time and I could explain to my 16, 17, 18-year-old self that what he is saying to me is not remember who you you are. Remember that you're Greg Martin's kid. No, he's saying, remember who God said that you were while you were still in the womb. Remember that God was speaking over you. You are a child of promise. You are a child of purpose. Before I even took my first breath, God had a plan for me. And that's what he wanted me to remember. Psalms 139, 13 through 16 says this, and this is in the Message. You shaped me first inside and then out. You formed me in my mother's womb, and I thank you, my God. You're breathtaking. Body and soul, I know that I am marvelously made, and I worship in adoration because what a creation. You know me inside and out. You know every bone in my body. You know exactly how I was made bit by bit, how I was sculpted from nothing into something, and like an open book, you've watched me grow from conception to birth in all of the stages of my life. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life were all prepared before I even lived one day. God knew. God knew that you were going to be sitting here. God knew that you were going to have the relationships in your life. God knew that you were going to be talented in the areas that you're talented in and struggle in the areas that you struggle in before you even took the first breath. I like to do this thing that I call the Lindsey version of scripture. And I'm gonna read that. I think it's on the next slide. Go for it. So this is in Psalms 139. Later on in the chapter, David is saying, investigate my life, O God. Find out everything about me. Examine and test me. Help me get a clear picture of who I am. And it says, see if I've done anything wrong, and then help me basically live a righteous life. The Lindsey version of that is, help me where I'm slacking. Out. How many of us feel like that? Life is not easy. Adulting is stupid. It's hard. God wants to help us figure this out. God wants to help you figure out your purpose. And that's what this month is going to be about. Understanding who you are. Understanding maybe some of the negative labels that we slap on ourselves. Learning how to combat the negative self-talk, and learning not to just focus on the one thing that we think we have going for us, but rather to say, okay, God, you made me just like I am, and I need to know why, and put all of those elements to work for the kingdom. Next month, we're going to be able to say, okay, this is what I've identified that God helped me, designed me to be good at. Now, what can I do